You stumble in the dark. You kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life feels lemons, just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds. And when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me.
I hope you're ready. This is going to be exciting.
Here the Geico restart zone to go. Green flag is out and underway.
Just a few laps into this. Oh, the 37's getting loose. Oh, and he saves it. Oh, they're going 3 wide.
We've got a 5-way fight for the win of this race coming to 4 laps to go. He's gonna win it here in spectacular fashion.
Hello and welcome to the Goat Locker ARCA series here, presented by Glove Station, where we see these guys go to tangle with the triangle. And once again, you know, it's me up in the booth, and I've got a special guest this week filling in for the great Dave Regal. It's going to be Shane Cochran. Shane, how are you doing tonight, brother?
I'm doing great. I'm really excited to see these guys take on Pocono. Not my first Goat Locker race, but it is my first one here with the ARCA series, and it's also going to be the first time I've seen this new ARCA car on track. Just super excited to see if everything I've heard about it is true. A lot of good things around the subreddits and on the forums and things. So I'm just really excited to be here.
And certainly that leads me right into the point of last week we saw Eddie Smith, you know, he dominated at Watkins Glen after, you know, kind of poking fun at me for pulling out the road courses and in an interview and him saying, they're okay. You know, he wanted to poke fun and then go dominate Watkins Glen. But that was in the Gen 4 style ARCA car. And now we see this modern ARCA car, and from what I've heard, some of the guys say it feels different. It feels like a mini Gen 7 in a way, from what I've heard from Christopher Morris Jr. last night from his truck race. I grabbed a quick interview on that. And these guys get to tangle again with the tricky triangle here. 90-degree track temperature, 69 degrees in the air, so a little hot, not too crazy. We're going to see these guys probably slide through the tunnel turn a little bit. Certainly trying to get as much of a drive off of turn 3 as well. Might see a little bit of sliding there. Just trying to set themselves up for that straightaway. And it's going to be one of those things that you got to kind of just mind your P's and Q's on that throttle control.
Yeah, I'll be really curious to see how the road course success of the folks from last week translates here. You know, Pocono is a lot like a road course that just has 3 left-hand turns. So many long straightaways. You're going to be drafting up behind people and at the last second trying to decide if you want to make a move or not.
Yeah.
Put it all on the line.
And for Pocono, it certainly is one of those things where you've just got to kind of make the move and, you know, kind of just go for it. You can't hesitate, because you hesitate, you kind of just end up running out of real estate somehow down this front stretch. The front stretch is where you're going to be able to get a huge draft. And, you know, time for these guys is running out. You know, this is week 9 of 10 of the regular season, so just a handful, I can't even say a handful, just a couple of races left in the regular season. You know, Eddie Smith atop the pylon right now with 2 wins. Chris Morris sitting in P2 with 4 wins. Andy Kurtz, our other winner here, with 1 win. And then down at the bottom here for our, you know, standings, Daniel Cunningham and Jake Ellingson are just separated by 5 points for that pro division. As far as the AM division, I mean, you've got 3 guys with multiple wins, with Jeremiah Holt and Cliff Adams having 2, and David Calvert having 3, with Alan Smith with his 1 win. A little bit further of a gap there for Sean McCarthy and Mark Cofield, separated by 10 points at that cut line. So you're going to want to maximize your points going in here, as we're going to go ahead and bring up our starting grid here. Our winner from a week ago, Eddie Smith, going to be leading off in the poll with Mark Whitley. Our winner from last night's truck race, going to be on the inside, or the outside there. Mark Cofield and Chris Morris Jr. going to be in row number 2. Jonah Colbert and Jake Ellingson in row number 3. Timothy Wilmus and James Goshen going to be in row number 4. Chuck Pegleg Phelps going to be in 9th with Jacob Lenke in P10. Jamie Libke, they're going to start there in P11 for the start of this thing, with Devin Smith in P12. Alan Smith and Cliff Adams are going to be in row number 7 with Brandon Wallace and Logan. Not seeing a last name. Logan Trekeld. I know who that is. That's Santa. That's what we call him, Santa. Because he pops up in all my discords as Santa. Can never say his last name, and I refuse to try to figure it out, because he'll tell me and it'll go right over my head. Michael McCarthy and Skylar Daly, they're going to be in row number 9, with Josh Unger and Ryzen Baker in row number 10. Robert Kubat, Ricky Sisk Jr. going to be in row number 11, with John Houchin and Dakota Cole in row number 12. Row 13 be Jeremiah Holt and Daniel Craighill, Andy Kurtz and Warren Clayton, 27th, 28th. And rounding out our final row here for the night is going to be Noah Hoagie Hogard and Mickey Isaac. 30 cars in the field here tonight, and that's certainly a ton. We're going to see a lot of drafting here. You know, with this many cars, you're going to see some guys trying to kind of coax some guys into jumping out of line with them and trying to find ways to make up time on these long straightaways.
Absolutely. I mean, the only other way you're going to be able to make up track position in chunks is going to be with some pit road strategy. If this stays green, we'll be curious to see how many people try to come early, undercut the guys at the front, or if we get some cautions, some tire strategy could come in as well.
Yeah, and certainly, you know, Eddie Smith has kind of been on a tear. Chris Morris Jr., he's been on a tear, 4 wins on the season, so look for him to be strong. Mark Cofield has kind of kept peeking his nose up here in this top podium spot throughout the entirety of the season, so him as well. And Mark Whitley, new to the league last night, he was 1 for 1, you know, 1 race, 1 win in the truck series. He looks to go back-to-back for the week here. And I mean, that's got to be a great feeling. You start a league and then you pull off a win in the first race there. So he's looking to continue his run there. As Eddie Smith's going to have control, enter the Geico restart zone, and fire off for these boys as they go green flag in the air here from Pocono. Everybody just kind of calm here as at the start, just kind of trying to wind these things up and get them rolling. Turn 1 at Pocono certainly can be scary. The second time around, you know, they have all that speed coming down the front stretch, and then Chris Morris jumping in behind the 87 machine here.
They're 3 wide behind them.
Yeah, 3 wide through the tunnel turn is not something that you want to do. It's not. It's a lot tighter of a turn than you think it is.
Yeah, every turn here at Pocono is a lot easier when you are single wide. Even just 2 wide, you've got to rethink your entry angle to make sure you don't get into the guy.
Oh, looks like I believe Michael McCarthy sideways. We've got a pile up here. It looks like the 51 gets a little tap to the 44. So yeah, Josh Unger getting a little loose. Mike McCarthy getting, I think, turned around there. Take a quick peek here. Hop back to Mike McCarthy, see what happened. It looks like just the 29 tried to drive off there. Alan Smith tried to drive off just all over the back of the 33. The 77, Horizon Baker gets into it. The 32 with heavy nose damage. See if I can find a 32 Dakota Cole there. We can go on board with them. Oh, looks like the 12 just got loose and nowhere to go for Dakota. So some early incidences here coming out of the final turn to head down that long straightaway. Looks like the 3's. It just looks like the 3 got away pretty cleanly there.
Yeah, it looks like just about everybody was able to drive away, but some with significant damage, like the 32 car.
Yeah, that thing is tore up. Certainly gonna need to get that, most likely burn the fast repair. Oh, looks like the 77 came in hot there. Horizon Baker. There's some early troubles here, and you know that's one of those things is when you're behind the 8 ball that early, you know, it's gonna cause you to possibly, you know, drive a little bit more aggressively. It's gonna have your mood, you know, shifted completely 180 from just being kind of a little bit neutral at the start of this thing, and you know now you're just kind of pissed off and you're gonna want to try to get everything that you can back. It's gonna be a lot tougher. You know, now you got to think about, you know, saving your fast repairs. Dakota Cole comes back on. You can see that nose back on the front there.
Yeah, as you mentioned, you're going to have to get a little bit more every restart when you have the opportunity. This, every caution also shortens the race, shortens your opportunities to get positions. And if those first couple laps are any indication of how the rest of the race is going to go, this, could feel like a Bristol race or another short track situation where every time there's a caution, you realize that your time is running out.
Yeah, certainly. And I do want to mention sponsor reads are a new thing for me, so I apologize for that. But I do want to point out that Eddie Smith is the Jam Printing and Promotions Pole Award winner out of Plainfield, Indiana. They're local and veteran certified. When they do well, they can do more in the community. Since forming in 2013, Jam has contributed printing and promotional sponsorships to more than 60 local nonprofits, with a primary focus on organizations that assist veterans, women, and children. They have been with Goat Locker Racing since the very beginning. They provide GLR with all promotional items, including shirts, hats, decals, dog tags, you name it. Jam is GLR's go-to promotional company. And again, they are the sponsor for the Pole Award here as Eddie Smith grabs that Jam Printing and Promotions Pole Award this evening. And, him and Christopher Morris both have certainly been tied to that Pole Award several times this season. And, they're the two guys that I think are going to, it's going to come down to the last lap on the last race for the championship, and if they can get into that final four.
Yeah, absolutely. With just a short track left after Pocono, you never know if you're going to be able to survive the beating and banging it at a short track. So this might be your best shot to get yourself positioned for the playoffs here at Pocono.
Yeah, I mean, you have tons of room here down these straightaways, so plenty of places to go. It's really obviously through the turns that things tighten up, especially through turn 2. That's probably the tightest area of the track. It's really quick. It's really it's just kind of a thinner spot, and it's easy to kind of overdrive it, kind of plow your machine to the outside wall. If you're not careful with your throttle control and get to the gas a little bit later than you need to, or than you want to, any kind of early throttle input there, it's certainly gonna really tear apart that corner and then kind of set you up badly for turn 3.
Let's see what they can do here on take 2.
Yeah, certainly that pace car is going to get ready to make that hard left turn off of the racing surface. Eddie Smith's going to roll towards that restart zone, fire off with Mark Whitley. Actually was the leader there. I've got my flip around. I did the Pole Award and tangled myself up. Whitley with a good run there. Morris almost grabbing Ellingson there. A little bit further back, our winner from a week ago, Cliff Adams in the amateur division, currently running P11, trying to move his way up and just absolutely pushing that 7 machine. Oh, just as I say that, looks like everyone kind of goes crazy here. Jonah Colbert's sideways.
And they're not done.
Oh, they're not done by any means. I just put that is the most broadcaster curse I think I've ever put on somebody.
Michael McCarthy involved in another one.
Yeah, the 24, Michael McCarthy as well. Cliff Adams. Noah Hoagie Hogard involved in that one as well. Absolutely. I mean, his wheel is... that's a little bit much for the camber, I'd say. Kind of hard to pick out. Kind of hard to pick out where to go at the start of this one. Is so much happened at one time. We're going to go ahead and go with McCarthy here for a moment. But actually starts a little bit further ahead. He just, he gets lifted up there.
I think it was the 31 car that was involved in a little bit of contact earlier in the turn and couldn't quite get it straightened out. Came back across the field.
So here, riding above the 31. Oh, it looks like he just gets on the brakes and it kind of loops around. The Cofield kind of had the similar issue there. And then once that happens, everybody around them just kind of nowhere to go. Oh,
Yeah,
and
as we
then
were saying,
Bogard just slams through the 24 machine, I believe it was.
we got this new ARCA car out here. Guys have gotten, our drivers have been practicing all week, it sounds like. But, until you get in a pack of 30 cars and have to slam on the brakes in a crowded turn, you don't really know how that car's going to act. And some drivers might have that brake bias a little too rearward. And that's what it looked like to me. It looked like as soon as they got on the brakes,
It just snapped
the car
around.
sideways.
Well, speaking of snapping around, we're going to snap to a commercial break for just a quick moment and be back here with some more action from Pocono here for the Goat Locker Racing ARCA series presented by Glove Station.
Superior quality, ultimate protection, and the highest level of craftsmanship. We make our gloves for the hard worker that wakes up every morning and gives 110%. You deserve the highest quality protective gear that's going to work for you, day in, day out. We know it can be tough deciding what companies to trust for your hard-earned money. It's all in our name. We've mastered our craft to help you master yours. We make our gloves rugged, durable, and designed for you. Whatever the job is, we have you covered. We are your Glove Station.
A thriving job market and low cost of living, plus a wide range of veteran benefits, make Indiana the perfect place for veterans of the United States military to call home. InVets can help you find that home. We're an organization started by veterans to help former service members transition to civilian life in our state. InVets can help you find the community with the career opportunities, housing, schools, and amenities that fit your lifestyle. To learn more about InVets, visit us at invets.org today.
Back here at Pocono Raceway here for the Goat Locker Racing ARCA series. I want to give a read here for Glove Station. At Glove Station, they're committed to providing quality gloves and protective gear for a wide range of your daily activities and jobs. From tinkering on home DIYs to working in industrial environments and everything in between, they've got you covered. With the endless amounts of safety products on the market, they want to make it effortless for you to find the right protection for your needs. Glove Station, they are the title sponsor here for the ARCA series, and certainly a wonderful product to see. Each time I see the ad, think about getting myself a couple different pairs for just normal yard work for one, as well as working on the race cars at our race shop. So look into Glove Station, and plenty of different products for everybody's needs.
Yeah, I was just checking out glovestation.com myself, as I'm a stay-at-home dad, and I spend half of my day chopping things up on a cutting block in the kitchen. Saw that they have some really nice culinary gloves. I have to give me some of those.
Absolutely. Mark Whitley says he needs to get himself some distance from these guys on this restart as he fires off and gets a good lead. Ellingson looking to kind of maximize his restart here on the inside of Eddie Smith.
Yeah, I think the sooner you can get single file, the sooner you can get into a rhythm, focus on saving your tires, hitting your marks, and trying to pull away here.
Yeah, just looking here at, you know, Jamie Libke, if they you know, get stuck on the bottom there, they're not going to be able to, you know, find they're going to kind of fall back as these guys get single file here and they start to pull away with the draft. As you see, looks like Ryzen Baker all over the back of the 73 machine, kind of sending him off into turn 3 there. I almost said turns 3 and 4, but there is no 4. It's just turn 3. Peek up here to Logan here in the 30 machine with the Kinetics hell yeah brother paint scheme there. Eddie Smith goes fast time with a 55.54 that time by. So, you know, these guys will run pretty relatively the same times because, you know, you're kind of on the other person's bumper the entire time. The place that you make up time is going to be through these corners, being able to drive off better, drive in deeper, get good runs. You see the 74 there, Mark Whitley, kind of separating himself through the tunnel turn there from Eddie Smith.
Yeah, as I'm looking back through the standings, there's a group of drivers from about 7th, 8th, and 9th that have really been on the move. Jeremiah Holt up 16 positions. Logan Thrickeld up 7, and Skylar Daly up 11. They are on the move here early at Pocono.
Certainly. I also noticed Jeremiah Holt up 15 too as well. Andy Kurtz up 14. A lot of big movers through here, like you said. So, I mean, that's a ton of spots to grab at a place. Oh, like Pocono, I see someone a little bit further back. I'm not sure who it was. It might have been Warren Clayton there in the 117 black and blue green machine just in front of Michael McCarthy, as McCarthy now looks to the inside. Yeah, he's all sideways through there. Now the 38 of Robert Kubat grabbing the wall there too.
Yeah, it sure looks like these new ARCA cars, they look easier to save than something maybe like the next gen, but they are a handful to avoid overcorrecting.
Yeah, and you know, like Christopher Morris said in the in the truck series, or in his truck series interview, I mean, he finds himself currently sitting in 22nd right now. Said it's like driving a mini next gen in itself. So, I mean, I guess the savability is a little bit better, but he says it's still kind of snappy loose, which I mean, we've certainly seen a bit of that, you know, sliding through corners and just kind of breaking loose on them. Back at the front, looks like Mark Cofield working on Chuck Pegleg Feltz right now, trying to get by and clear of him. But the 75 is going to try to get as much speed. The 37 is going to jump down and give him a shove here. He's going to be able to move up and past the 97 here as they head towards the turn 1. And that currently looks like our closest battle right now on track.
Yeah, you can see the field grouping out at this point. 3 leaders out, single file, kind of running away. The second pack here, they are stuck side by side, and that is only going to slow them down as the leaders continue to pull away.
Yeah, the lead, I don't even want to call it a lead pack. The lead 3 are about 4 seconds ahead here of Mark Cofield. Cofield's one of those guys that, you know, I've been watching, and throughout the season, he's always right there within that grasp of that top 3 and trying to get to, see the 77, I think, grabbed the wall. But, you know, Cofield is one of those guys that I've been calling for possibly being able to pull off the, we call it a true win, or an all-out win, outright win. You know, we've called it several different things so far this season. I like calling it an outright win. You know, trying to see some of these AM drivers, you know, pop up and take a win from the pros here. Cofield and Holt, those have been 2 big names throughout the season to get up there and challenge for an outright win.
Yeah, really nice mixture of pro and AM drivers here tonight. So it looks like the sun just came out.
Yeah, it's almost like they turned on the lights here for a second, the way it popped out.
Yeah, and if I'm Whitley Smith or Ellingson, not really interested in pushing the issue just yet. We're 15 laps into a 40-lap race. I'm right in position, keeping the draft with the leader. I don't need to do anything special here.
No, certainly not. This back group, this is where I think you've got to maximize your positioning. Those top three certainly are showing, how fast they are themselves. So by being at the front of this group, you're going to be able to set yourself up to maybe make a run after them with a couple of the faster guys working their ways through here, as well as I think Ryzen has a touch of damage, but he's been fast. Oh, just as I say a touch of damage, he gets a tap by the 37 and he almost grabs the outside wall there.
I think he scraped it just a little bit. No harm, no foul. They keep it straight. Oh, and just when I said it, 73 into the wall ahead of the 37.
Yeah, so he's going to be stuck. We stay green, so he's going to be stuck up against that wall. Jacob Lemke is going to travel on with a little bit of front end damage there. So Jeremiah Holt now falling, kind of stuck to the wall there again. I don't know if that's just kind of trying to turn to the right or not now, but that thing's certainly hurting. Oh, you can see the back end there. Yeah, that thing does not know how to drive. That car does not know how to run right now.
And if you're Holt, this is almost worse than, some more serious contact where you could at least get a caution and have a chance to catch up.
Yeah, he's just
green.
He's just trying to limp that thing home and get it to the pit road. You can see that right front kind of turned inward, like it has an excessive amount of tow. You can see it right there as he comes to pit road now. That's certainly going to put him behind. Not sure if he used a fast repair yet or not. He's got it. I mean, he's going to be able to keep himself on the lead lap, but these guys at the front are certainly rolling here as they're about almost 5 seconds, now 5 seconds ahead of the fourth place car of Mark Cofield now.
Yeah, with Holt on pit road, I do believe he's got that fast repair yet to use. One driver I just noticed, the 44 has a black flag. 1 lap down, not sure what that was for.
I wonder if maybe, I mean, it doesn't look like damage. I was going to say maybe he has a meatball, but I don't see damage. I'm seeing him come down and to pit road. Not sure what that's all about. Ryzen Baker finds himself at the head of this group here with Mark Cofield just trying to find a way around. Does it look like Logan in the 30 machine just kind of staying in line outside, but Chuck is not leaving Cofield alone here. Kind of gets away from him for a moment, but every time he gets a good run, he's just right inside of the 97 and not able to go anywhere. Logan now going to have to deal with that himself as he actually does get clear. I say clear, and we might see him dive in there into turn one. Logan dives to the inside line there.
Almost like being at Talladega or Daytona, it would really be helpful for these drivers in this second group to get single file, do some drafting, and see if they can make some ground up on the leaders. Now over 5.5 seconds.
Absolutely. I mean, the more you can stay in a line and work your way forward is always going to be a positive, especially for someone, like Mark Cofield, who's, wanting to maximize points. He's, currently sitting in P5. He's 10 points out of the playoffs right now, but I do not, based off of a quick scan, I only see Michael McCarthy. I do not see a Sean Sean McCarthy, so that certainly is going to play well into Mark Cofield's hands as far as those points go. Devin Smith also having some issues early on. Trying to see if I can find. He's currently running P17 after a few incidences. So, I mean, he's got 10 positions on Devin Smith, 10 or so positions. I can't do math. Got 12 positions. I mean, that would put him right there just behind Devin Smith if things were to stay the way they were. So, you know, with just, 20 to go this time by, it almost feels like a sprint race, just because, the track is, 2.5 miles long. So the laps are, a lower amount. But we're still running about the same mileage as Logan dives to the inside here. But, with the long green flag, 40 laps goes by quick no matter what track you're at.
It does. I mean, we're halfway. This green flag run has really sped the race up.
Yeah,
still just look like they're riding nice and comfortable.
Yeah,
they're continuing to gap that second group.
Kind of looking like it's going to be one of those situations that, like a Daytona, where these guys are all going to sit together and wait until the last moment to just start getting a little bit of a race going on between them. Actually, they start shuffling around now, trying to stay in each other's draft. Ellingson just kind of staying in one place, said, y'all figure it out. A little further back, looks like Jamie Libke and James Goshen fighting for position here. Libke on the inside, and they're not really, I was gonna say they look like they're not able to get up to that high line, but they were able to squeeze into a spot there.
Really appreciate the hodgepodge of paint schemes tonight with a new car. I'm really impressed that some folks are able to find a good-looking scheme so fast.
Oh, dude, the thing with iRacing that I love so much is the second that, the templates were available, as Eddie Smith all over the back of the 74, as soon as the templates were available, people were just immediately making paint schemes. Like, at the drop of a hat, they were like, let's make all these old-style cars. I mean, you got right here, Jacob Lenke's got the, older Wood Brothers style scheme made up himself. I'm assuming he made himself, as it's got Save 22 Vet on the hood of it. And, we both know that Save 22 Vet is a sponsor here for Goat Locker Racing as well. And then you got Eddie Smith and the Tide machine there. Oh, big slide as they're coming to pit road now to get their service. See if
Driver radios are going off. Everybody I can hear sounds like they want to come in, with just a few people deciding to stay out.
Mark Cofield coming down. Ryzen Baker came down on lap 2, so he's probably got a lap or so more there. Cliff Adams was down on lap 5 with Morris Jr. down on lap 7. These guys going to try to run this thing a little long here. Try to pick up some time on the guys that are pitting now. And if Cliff Adams and Morris Jr. can get nose to tail tightly, they'll be able to push themselves pretty far out and work in their favor, as Mark Whitley is currently on his way out, and that right there shows you how true to life this ARCA car is, as he floors it. See that whole front end lift up on these ARCA cars on the pit exit.
Pocono is so big of a track, you're not necessarily going to go a lap down, especially if you're up near the leaders. But there are a handful of cars sitting a lap down now, with 23 cars on the lead lap.
Yeah, Ryzen Baker and Andy Kurtz making stops here now. Cliff Adams and Chris Morris going to stay on track. Looks like they're just trying to push each other out as far as they can get, trying to stay nose to tail as tightly as they can. Michael McCarthy and Daniel Craigheal also coming down pit road now. So while these go on, we're going to step aside for just a moment, and then we'll bring you the rest of the action here from Pocono for the Goat Locker Racing ARCA Series. presented by Glove Station.
Superior quality, ultimate protection, and the highest level of craftsmanship. We make our gloves for the hard worker that wakes up every morning and gives 110%. You deserve the highest quality protective gear that's going to work for you, day in, day out. We know it can be tough deciding what companies to trust for your hard-earned money. It's all in our name. We've mastered our craft to help you master yours. We make our gloves rugged, durable, and designed for you. Whatever the job is, we have you covered. We are your Glove Station.
So while we were away, seemed to be an incident here. It looks like I think Ryzen Baker's name pops up here. We'll take a peek back here and look at Ryzen Baker. No, he's off track. I'm not sure. I don't see anything there. I almost wonder if it was for him pulling off and jumping to the pits.
Yeah, a very strange place to be slowing down.
Let's take a click here, see if this populates something different. But no, it's just the same thing. Not seeing... Just gonna scan through here, see if we can find anything, but I'm not seeing anything, so I'm almost wondering if just Ryzen Baker pulling aside there and jumping to pit road is what brought that out. Because I'm not seeing anything at all whatsoever there. Through timing and scoring, so a little bit of an oddball caution here.
Oh, I'm listening to the driver's radio. I hear race control actually kind of crowdsourcing to figure out what happened there. 77 saying he blew an engine.
Oh, so let's see. Let's go on board with him. Let's go back here, grab that. See if we can... May have scrolled past it. That would explain a ton there, you know, blowing an engine like that. So here we are, we're gonna go on board with Ryzen Baker to see if, or hear this expire. It seems like it's already, he's already off hour there. You can see it at 300 there, so I mean that certainly would we're gonna do it old school style, unfortunately. See if it was a money shift coming out of pit road here. Oh. Wow, that was weird. You didn't even hear like a downshift or anything like that. It just kind of said sayonara.
I think that was a shift point. He was getting a little
It could have. It definitely could have been. It seemed, and I mean, it could be just how the the engine sounds, not used to how it shifts, because I know a lot of the other cars, when you downshift into a lower gear, you hear it rev up to, you know, to the high heavens. But maybe with this ARCA car, it doesn't quite do the same as that. But certainly heard that thing expire, and it was dead in the water.
Yeah, this new car continuing to challenge our drivers out here. We've seen folks getting sideways, fishtailing, overcorrecting, and now we've seen a misshift blowing a motor. I wonder what other surprises this car might have for us tonight.
Oh, I certainly believe that we're in for a great finish here. I mean, you've got Mark Whitley, who's been fast, Eddie Smith looking to go back-to-back, Ellingson looking to get a win and help his campaign, you know, add to his strong season so far. You know, he's one of those guys that's just right outside of the playoffs. So getting a win would certainly, you know, throw him up into, you know, locked in and in the top, one of the top spots there. Daniel Cunningham not here this week, so Daniel Cunningham's going to fall out of, you know, out of this top group of racers. So
yeah, the caution didn't shake up the field too much because our leaders were still in the lead lap and everyone in front of them needed to pit anyway. I think a driver or two might have gotten caught on pit road right as it closed and been forced to take an EOL. But the driver that is really popped up all of a sudden is that 48 of Andy Kurtz, up 20-some positions since the start of the race. I think that caution landed just right for Andy.
Yeah, and Andy would certainly love to add another win to his season. You know, he would be another multi-time race winner behind Eddie Smith and Chris Morris. And with Chris Morris struggling, I mean, I would imagine if he gets a win, that could push him up over Chris Morris as far as points go. But we're going to find out now as we've got 11 to go here from Pocono, with Mark Whitley sending it out, sending himself out far, with Ellingson just behind again. Eddie Smith fighting against Andy Kurtz right now, and again up 23, 24 positions from the start of this thing.
Yeah, that huge 6-second lead that those three had is all gone. The entire field right on him as the yellow comes out again.
Oh, and I heard it just at the change of the camera, and I want to say I saw Jeremiah, I believe, in that. Jeremiah Holt was one of those guys. Chris Morris Jr. as well popping up here. Oh, and he's got another one of those ka-chow wheels on the front there. Oh! There's a lot to unpackage there.
Looks like that might have started with the 32 of Dakota Cole.
Yeah. Let's take a peek from our blimp cam here of Dakota Cole. Be right there, getting ready to go through the tunnel. Oh, it looks like everybody checks up there. I don't know if everybody started to check up because of the, I believe, 87 machine there.
I think it was actually the 83 on the bottom lane was the slow car that everyone was reacting to.
Yeah, we'll go back and see, because you see him kind of, he's 3 wide there, and it looks like he just backs out of 3 wide. And it kind of stacks everyone up. But, I mean, I don't see that much of a stack up that really would happen.
How much speed he lost there on entry. He didn't have to give up that much speed to get out of 3 wide, and then
John
checked up as well.
John Houchin, he goes for a ride here. Oh, it looks like a 32 snapped to the left too. Did you see that there?
Yeah.
A lot of weird things happening in that instance. That's going to make things very interesting here. Oh. Mark Whitley still in the lead after all of that. Like a bunch of these guys just bowing out.
Yeah, a handful of apologies coming over the driver radios. Just kind of everybody with just 10 laps to go. You can't really afford to lift, especially if you're towards the second half of the field. You got to make your moves now, and unfortunately it didn't work out.
Yeah, and it's like you said, it's just, 10 laps to go, and everybody pushing for every position. I mean, as we've seen, track position is pretty daggone key here, and if you can latch yourself onto the guys that have been the top three the entire night of Whitley, Ellingson, and Smith, you can latch yourself to the back bumpers of those guys. You can pull yourself away and forward, and really help yourself out. Otherwise, you're just kind of running in that second pack that we've been seeing.
Yeah, it looks like race control handing down an EOL to the 32 of Dakota Cole. Looks like they're putting that one on the 32.
Yeah, and I think the only thing that puts that on the 32 was it looked like an abrupt move to the left, rather aggressively. And I don't know if it was maybe they saw an opportunity to kind of like everyone slowing up, trying to gain a couple spots, or, if they saw something, ahead that, they were trying to avoid. And, you try to shoot the gap, and that's how it works sometimes. It's hard to avoid at all cost.
Yeah, the other thing, it just could have been a different turn-in point. We've got 30 drivers on track, and you run these straightaways almost a mile long. Everybody's going to have a slightly different braking point and a slightly different turn-in point. And if you're not on the same page as the guy just in front of you, something like that can happen.
Yeah, and I mean, that's kind of what racing as a whole is, you've got 30 people reading the same book, but at a different speed, on a different chapter. So, you have one guy who's thinking, 7 pages ahead of the other person in front of them, and that's kind of what happens.
Only going to get more anxious and ramp up the intensity even further with just 8 laps to go. It'll be 7 to go at the line. Everybody trying to make the most of these last few laps.
Yeah, and I'm just taking a peek here at this 27 machine of Jake Ellingson, Lincoln Tech on board. And Lincoln's mission is to provide superior education and training to students for in-demand careers in a supportive, accessible learning environment, transforming students' lives and adding value to their communities. They're one of the largest automotive technology schools in the nation with 23 campuses, and they are the title sponsor of the Spring Series here at Go Locker Racing and are a very large partner for Goat Locker Racing. So I want to give them a big shout out as well for what they do. But, Ellingson looking here, sitting just behind Whitley, and I feel like that's a good spot to be, going into these last 8, going to be 7 laps to go, because you're going to be, if you time it right, you can be all over the back bumper of the 74, push him forward while pulling yourself forward past Andy Kurtz. But it's all going to come down to the next 7 laps around this racetrack as Mark Whitley fires off here. And you see a couple people out in the back just kind of thinking about jumping out sideways. It looks like the 37 machine of Jacob Lemke back there. Oh, we're going to almost go 3 wide here through turn 1.
Oh, they make it work for now.
Oh, and that 86 machine of Timothy Wilmus, it's all over the back bumper of the 30 of Logan.
Seemed like Andy Kurtz was the loser there in that 3 wide moment. Maybe scraping the wall or having to lift to stay out of it.
Yeah, and he's kind of stuck. I mean, he's got 2 cars in front of him that are side by side as Mark Whitley pulls about 0.7 of a second over Eddie Smith. Ellingson in P3 with Eddie Smith in P2. Now everybody just kind of side by side from then on back, trying to fight for every position. Andy Kurtz looking to the inside of the 30. I think he thought maybe the 30 was going to come down on him and overturn there. I hear some noise back in the back. I'm not sure if someone grabbed the wall. Certainly heard a little bit of something there.
Yeah, I've seen a few drivers when they go to make that dive down to the inside, the car just gets loose on entry.
Absolutely, and it doesn't seem like they're really turning it that aggressively. It just seems like it's on that. It's almost like it's on skates. Mark Cofield and Jonah Colbert side by side, really, really close there for a moment.
Five laps to go here at Pocono.
Eddie Smith is caught up to, oh, just as I say that, Ellingson and Smith both grab the wall. And honestly, every time I click on someone to talk about them, it seems as though I just have that magnet of a curse tonight.
Whitley all the way down on that apron, kissing the rumble strips with his left front tire. He's getting every inch out of this track.
Yeah, and then you see down the front stretch snaking around trying to break the draft from Eddie Smith, who's, again, pulling really close up to the back end of him. Ran just about 4/400ths faster that time by, which doesn't sound like a ton, but you know, when these guys are drafting as close as they are, it might as well be a couple feet.
Yeah, we watch these three run just like this all night long. The time for waiting is over. You need to make your move. Try to line it up, as it looks like they're 4 and 5 wide way back in the pack.
Oh, McCarthy dooring the 11 there of Skylar Daly. These guys really fighting.
Oh.
Daly getting doored again. And look at that
Really
madness down the
impressive.
front stretch there. They're about 5 wide. Maybe not
Just
side
really
by side,
impressive
but...
to keep it out of the wall there. I thought he was going to slam it for sure.
Oh, absolutely. I thought for sure we were going to have a caution there, put us under a green-white checker. Once again, you see Whitley diving down to that apron. Again, trying to break any kind of draft. Oh, it looks like he got a little bit of a bumper there from Eddie Smith as he tried to get back up to the upper line.
The yellow is out with 3 to go.
Oh, no. It's going to change everything. Looks like Cliff Adams, Jacob Lenke, a couple different names popping up here. You see the 117 in the wall. The 51 tries to shoot a gap that's not really there, forcing the 98 to the inside wall. And then
Oh, no.
the 37 not really anywhere to go.
Ooh, some really high-speed rough collisions there. That's going to set us up for the first of 2 possible green-white checkers.
Go
On to
on
overtime.
board here with Lenke, see what he saw coming out of that turn there and shooting down the stretch. So he sees Adams down there. He gets sent off, sees him at the wall, and then he just kind of, you know, he makes the move to go to the inside, but he sees him hit that outside wall, and he's thinking he's going to shoot back across the track again. That's one of those tough things that can't really do much about.
Yeah,
Take a
it
board.
seems like-
Yeah, you see the 51 just shoving the 98 machine down to the inside, and then he gets obliterated again from behind.
Yeah, just complete radio silence amongst the drivers right now. I think a few people, I'm sure the leaders were hoping we could stay green. A few people in that collision trying to find the polite words to say, not finding them right now. Looks like the 51 was handed an EOL by race control.
Yeah, certainly. I believe that's where it was. You know, there wasn't really a spot for him to put his nose. And, you know, you don't... you have a mirror to the left side, but it's not that big of a mirror, so... You know, you look in it, you don't really see a whole lot. You kind of push the issue. And, I mean, that's just going for gold at that point, trying to get everything that you can out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, this just in the last year or so, I switched over from the monitors to VR, and that is one of those moments where it really pays off at a track like Pocono as people are drafting. Sometimes I spend more time with my head turned around looking backwards than I do looking forwards.
I don't know if I could even, I with how much I wreck, I don't think I could ever do VR, because I feel like it's spinning through the air upside down and all around. I feel like I think I'd be asking to get sick.
Yeah, I haven't gotten on the roof wearing it just yet, but hopefully not.
I mean, just something there like, you know, Cliff Adams just had, where he hit that inside wall and then went for a tornado spin across the track and then gets hit from behind and flipped up. I mean, I feel like that makes my stomach kind of flip a little bit there. We're just gonna have a green-white checkered here, and I mean, it's all go or no at this point, because you know you're gonna be coming up to speed on that first lap. You know, you're not gonna have all the speed running down the front stretch. You're gonna want to try to get a good launch, no matter who you are. You're gonna want to get a good launch and try to make up any kind of time or position that you can, especially if you're Eddie Smith or Ellingson. You know, Whitley's been able to clear them going down into the first turn and then kind of set sail. If you can get to his outside and hang on to that outside, make a run down towards the tunnel turn side by side with him, and then force him to have to, you know, kind of slow up a little bit. Not necessarily pinch him, but, you know, kind of run him tight through the tunnel turn and kind of take his run to turn 3 off. I mean, that's essentially what's going to be a big key, in my opinion, that's going to be what gets the win. And if you can't stay side by side with him, it's going to be very hard to track him down on the white flag lap to get by him.
Yeah, I think the other place to watch is that second row, third and fourth place. If they can keep themselves in position, maybe those front two squeeze each other too hard and get into the wall. That's a place where you can pounce from. I, in my personal league, brought home the victory this season in that exact situation, running third, and was able to capitalize on the front two making too much contact on the last lap.
Yeah, and I can't remember what race I was calling, but one of the finishes, I believe I was with Dave Regal, so I mean there's a number of different things it could be, but they were coming out of the final turn. It was 1-2, out by a mile at this point, and they both kind of turned each other down onto pit road, and then the third place car came through and won that race. So I mean, really anything can happen here. It's just there's going to be certain things that happen that, you know, you either got to take the chance or just be happy with where you are.
Yeah, and we've been on these tires for 16, 17 laps now. They aren't fresh, so you don't really know exactly how much grip you're going to have heading into turn 1.
Or even here on the restarts, you know, Whitley gets a tire spin here, trying to, you know, get up and go, and, you know, that's going to stack up that inside line, and that's going to send, you know, Eddie Smith and Logan forward, or, you know, vice versa. Eddie Smith spins the tires, you know, that's going to send, you know, Jake Ellingson and I believe Jonah Colbert, they're going to move on through. So tire spin's going to be big here as they get ready to go green here. Gets off cleanly. Now it's all going to be on who can stick with the 74 machine as he is clear of Eddie Smith. Going to move up to the high line here with Ellingson to the inside of Eddie Smith. 74 jumps down to the low line through turn 1. He's going to snake his way down to the bottom, cut off any kind of draft. And Eddie Smith was going to move up to that high line, wasn't fully clear, so that might be a little bit of a hiccup there for him. It looks like Logan really wants to fight. Eddie Smith grabbing the wall. Logan trying to get himself a podium here. As Ellingson falls back to 5th. They go through turn 3 and send themselves down the front stretch one final time before the checkered. As now it is a race back to the white flag from here on out. Mark Whitley out front of Eddie Smith with Logan just half a second behind them. Mark Whitley goes into turn 1 down to the lower line. Eddie Smith not able to gain a ton, just a touch there. Snaking down through, headed towards the tunnel turn here as Mark Whitley is going to enter the tunnel turn. Eddie Smith got a little bit of a run there. Gonna have to throw it into this tunnel turn and the final turn really deep to try to even get close to the 74. Eddie Smith with a good run there. Eddie Smith
Within reach.
certainly within reach. Gonna dive into turn 3. He's gonna need to kind of power off, and he's gonna have to fight for everything that he's got if he wants to have any kind of shot here. Whitley out of turn 3 down the front stretch, gonna snake down to the inside line. Not gonna be enough time for Eddie Smith as Mark Whitley goes back to back winner of the truck series at IRP last night, and the winner here in Pocono tonight. A phenomenal run for Mark Whitley and Eddie Smith. Jake Ellingson ends up falling to P6 there.
Really impressive. Everyone was fighting so hard, able to stay green all the way to the end. A great battle up at the front.
Yeah, that green-white checkered was certainly an intense one. I think if Eddie Smith had just maybe one more lap there, he could have made a little bit more of a run, set himself a lot better. And that's what I was saying is, you know, with that, you know, being a green-white checkered, you're not full speed at the start of it, and then, you know, you get full speed the second time you come around. You're grabbing the white flag, and, you know, if he would have had one more run, I think he would have been able to get to his inside, fight for positioning, and set himself up, and it just, you know, not enough time there.
Yeah, also had a big gap behind him. No one there to help draft, help give him a push. 74 able to get it done.
Gonna wait here. Gonna bring up our P3 finisher here. Hey Santa, it's Jordan up in the booth. You got a copy, brother?
Hey, what's going on, man?
Hey man, I was sitting here, I was like, man, Logan doesn't have a last name on SDK when I brought up the starting grid, and then all of a sudden I was like, I know that funky last name. I was like, that's Santa Claus. But hey man, you come in here, you get a P3 win at Pocono. I mean, it's not an easy thing to do at Pocono. I mean, especially, you know, 3 different styles of turns, long straightaway here, you know, fighting off any kind of draft. You know, it's not an easy feat there to come P3.
Yeah, no, it was a drive for sure. Started all the way back towards the middle of the pack there, 15th, 16th. So had quite a bit to drive through to get to this point, but a couple lucky cautions for me certainly helped out. Had one kind of an issue on track there in the tunnel that slowed us up, didn't bring out a caution, separated that second pack from the front 4 or 5, but caution brought us all back together. That really helped out there.
Yeah, and certainly, and, you know, that's kind of one of the things I was saying is, you know, that green-white checkered, it's a little tough to, you know, kind of pull off a green-white checkered here as, you know, you go green, you got to wind them up. You come off turn 3, you're kind of wound up. You get that good run off, and then you have basically one lap to you know, pull a draft on somebody. And, you know, it's hard to develop that kind of a run with just one lap.
Yeah, it's especially on that restart too. I couldn't quite hear my car just enough. Everything was so loud around that I kind of short shifted from second to third and lost ground to Eddie. Well, turns out I think he spun the tires or maybe missed the shift there, but it worked out that I didn't plow through him after that. But overall, just saw Mark and Jake get that good run on the inside, then Mark immediately to the outside. Jake lost the momentum and kind of just freight trained the rest of the outside line around him there. Felt bad for him to see that, but what a drive by Mark and Eddie both. It was fun to watch that battle from that third spot.
Absolutely. I mean, it was a ton of fun to watch all of you guys. Some guys marched through the field like you and Andy Kurtz, both up a ton of positions from the start here. And then, you know, the lead group there just fighting amongst each other. It was a ton of fun to watch from up here. And, you know, you come here, P3, and, you know, certainly there's got to be some people you want to thank for that performance there, brother.
Yeah, absolutely. Just first and foremost, Goat Locker as a whole. Jake let me run this tonight. First time on the track with this group, so that was really cool to hop in here. I don't know why he threw me in the pro class, but I'll take it. But you guys putting on the broadcast too. I can't wait to go back and watch this one, and then everybody, my V Speed family, of course, Eddie, work with him every Friday night on the truck series. So everybody back there too. And then all the sponsors
Absolutely.
here at Goat Locker, of course.
Absolutely, brother. Well, thank you for your time, and it's great catching up with you, man.
Hey, thanks, buddy. We'll see you.
And with that, we're going to bring up our P2 finisher. I believe you, Shane, you've got Eddie right now.
Eddie, tell us how your night went. We saw you running up front all night long. Weren't quite able to catch the 74 on the final laps, but you were close. Walk us through it.
Yeah, just trying to learn this new car, see how it is. It's a lot like the old Gen 6 car, and so just a lot of learning. I didn't spend any time racing in a group, and that first run, I just wanted to kind of ride and see how the car felt. And honestly, in traffic, it drove really well. Um, so, the right call was to ride behind him and just push him. I mean, he got the initial start on the outside. You can't really pass on the inside, so the outside is going to be pretty good. It's always been that way at Pocono. And so the right call was just ride. We were pulling away. I mean, we had a pretty nice little gap there, and he came down, took 2 tires. Me and Jake took 4, so we were going to have to work together to try to catch back. We got a caution, and yeah, I don't know. Me and Mark were kind of talking about it, saying this might be like the worst case scenario for a first race in this new car. It's just a big long straightaways, get massive runs, and if you don't work together with your people you're racing around, it's going to be tough. So yeah, I don't know. I really don't know how I feel about this race. I'm happy to finish second, but yeah, a little disappointed in the car. I'm just I'm gonna miss the old one.
All right. Love to hear the feedback. We were so curious to know how that car was driving. We saw a misshift blow an engine. We saw people getting loose on entry, slamming the brakes. So interesting to hear you thought it was pretty good in traffic. And like you said, there's nothing wrong. Coming home with a podium, P2. Congrats. Who you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, Jam Printing Promotions. I want to thank Glove Station. I want to thank y'all for broadcasting Alexander PCs. Congratulations to Mark Whitley. He got out front and just never was able to give it up, and did a great job out front. And yeah, thank everybody over at Bandits.
All right. Well, congrats on the good night, and we'll see what you can do next week.
See ya.
That the voice of Eddie Smith. And now we're going to turn our attention to our race winner, Mark Whitley. You got a copy?
Gotcha.
Hey, man, newcomer to the league, and you just said you were trying to keep your nose out of things, and here you are. You're a winner in back-to-back nights and having another conversation with us up here in the booth as a winner.
Yeah, I figured best way to introduce myself to a new league is just get myself out there. So could have better than I could have hoped for. That's for sure.
Yeah, we were sitting here talking about how you, Eddie Smith, Ellingson, you guys were all there, throughout the entirety of the race, and here you were able to just kind of snake around through the front stretch, and I guess you can't really say backstretch, or isn't really a backstretch, but the straight stretches that around here, you were able to kind of snake your way out of a draft there, kind of keep yourself out in front of Eddie Smith, and just kind of fight forward and keep that nose in clean air.
Yeah, it was this car. It's brand new to iRacing. I mean, they just put it out last week, so everybody I think still learning with it. I think it's my first actual race. I've run a couple practices with it, but it's the first race I've ran with it. I know generally this track, no matter what car you're in, it's really draft dependent, and I've learned in previous races here with other cars, snaking down the straightaways like that helps break the draft a little bit, so they don't get huge runs on you. And especially that was going to be, I knew like green white checker that was like the key, because during that, I thought it was going to go green. So when we made those green flag pit stops, I only took rights trying to get away from them guys. I figured if I could get away, I could maybe stay in front of them and, not have to worry. But so I was a little worried being only on right sides the rest of the race. But actually, I think those couple cautions we got kind of helped us. So it was kind of a short run, and then we had a green white checkered. And it was just kind of like, all right, I got to break the draft. I can't let him get any kind of run whatsoever, because I had to really play the air. This car, little down on horsepower compared to some of the other cars, and it's a little drafty. So just taking every bit of knowledge and experience I've had with aero blocking and stuff, I just had to use it all, and luckily we came out on top.
Now, so next week, going to a little bit different of a style of track. You know, not something you generally see us mostly on is going to be USA International. I mean, how do you think, you know, this thing's going to really work with that track? You know, is it a really drafty car? Like, does it have a lot of pull? I know you were kind of out front a majority of that, but you know, trying to look out behind you, you know, were they able to kind of pull up to you and then just kind of stall out? Or, you know, give us a little bit of that idea there.
Yeah, it seemed like these things have a pretty big rear spoiler on it, so they create a really big wake. So if anybody got a little bit of a run or, you know, coming off the corner, they would really suck up to you. Thankfully, Eddie just decided he wanted to just follow me the first part of the race because he didn't ever really try to go inside. These cars, like I said, if you get side by side, I think it happened one time on one of these restarts at the end. The two guys behind me got side by side, and I got almost a second out because you're playing with so much air. So I think, you know, a track like this is probably worst case scenario. You have really flat corners and very long straightaways. So you have, you know, if you make one mistake and you know, slip up a little bit, someone can already get a run on you. And then there's a, you know, super long straightaway. I think this is the longest straightaway in NASCAR. I think it's longer than Talladega. So it's, you know, just one of those, you know, everything came together and it's just super drafty. I don't think it'll be like this everywhere. USA is a short track, so I mean, I really doubt any dirty air might play a little bit in the corners, but it no more than probably any other oval car we have. So next week I think it'll be a lot different. I ran one. I did a practice at Martinsville with this. Just ran a handful of laps, and it seemed kind of snug. And that's kind of a similar-ish track to USA. USA is a little bit bigger. So hoping we can get some green flag runs next week. I think the car, at least from what I can tell, a couple of practices, this car is pretty snug. I think they went a little tight on the fixed setups here when they first released it, just to be on the safe side. So I think it's just going to be about managing tires probably out there, keeping that right front where you can actually rotate through the center. And whoever can do that best, I think will be sitting pretty.
Well, certainly you were sitting pretty tonight and last night. 2 for 2 on races so far, and then, you know, we're going to move to Sunday. We're going to see if you can pull off a 3 for 3, kind of go for the Christopher Bell there. But before we get to that, man, we're going to get ready to send you off and celebrate this win. But before then, do you got anybody you want to shout out?
Oh, yeah, huge shout out Harpoon Design. Kind of sprung this last minute on, but I was joining the Monday League too, so we hadn't. Still working on my paint schemes. I just ran a basic trading paint, basic just iRacing one tonight, but should have something cooked up nice for next Monday. So shout out to him. He does awesome work. Check him out at harpoondesign.com. And let me see sponsor Lincoln Tech, Save 22, and the Indiana Department of Veteran Affairs. Appreciate all of them. Like I said, still new. Hoping to learn some more information about all of them. I'm sure they're great causes. So it's great talking to y'all again. Hopefully, like you said, I could maybe talk to y'all again Sunday in the trucks. That'd be awesome. I don't think we will, but you know, never know.
Hey, never know. Any given Sunday, I guess, is what you could say. But certainly, again, congratulations on the win here tonight, brother, and we'll be catching you.
All right, sounds good, guys. Thank you.
And last and certainly not least, Shane Cochran, I believe you have our AM driver, AM winner for the tonight.
Hey, good evening.
Hey, how you doing? It looked like it was quite a hornet's nest out there, especially back in the middle of the field. Walk us through how your night went.
Yeah, truth be honest, it was kind of chaos. Kind of got caught up in that early wreck and just, you know, played recovery the whole night. I think I got a little bit lucky with that caution flag just came out. I was debating on whether to come in on that lap or the next one. Just didn't want to do the opposite what the car did ahead of me. And just as I went past, the caution came out. So that was really beneficial. But yeah, the run in the midfield is crazy because cars start getting a run, and you know, if you check up for the car ahead of you or do anything, they'll just freight train past you. So it's a lot of, once you see clean air in front of you, like, oh no, there's going to be cars just charging through.
Yeah, and we heard a lot of chatter about the new car, how it was handling. Walk us through that a little bit. You know, how did it feel when you were on turn entry? We saw a couple cars really snapping loose when they got on the brakes. Were you experiencing anything like that? Oh, we might have lost you there.
I don't.
You're still on mute.
Devin Smith, you got a copy? Oh, it seems that we may have lost Devin. Try one more time, see if Devin Smith, you got a copy? Oh, I think Devin Smith, you got a copy. I heard him peek up for just a moment. But unfortunately, I don't think we're going to get to finish our interview with Devin Smith. With that being said, I mean, we're going to run through our grid here. And run through this final, final results here. As I guess we lost Devin Smith, unfortunately. Mark Whitley going to come away our winner here tonight. Goes back-to-back truck win at IRP last night. Win here in the ARCA series tonight. Eddie Smith going to come P2 with Logan Santa, as we like to call him here, in P3, rounding out that podium. Jonah Colbert and Andy Kurtz going to round out the top 5. Jake Ellingson, Timothy Wilms, James Goshen, Devin Smith, and Michael McCarthy rounding out the top 10. Skylar Daly comes P11, Alan Smith 12th, Jamie Libkey 13th, Mark Cofield 14th, and Warren Clayton rounding out the top 15. Robert Kubat, Brandon Wallace, and Noah Hoagie Hogard going to come 16th, 17th, and 18th. A little bit further back, Daniel Craighill going to come 19th. Ricky Sisk Jr. going to round out the top 20. Josh Unger going to be the last guy on the lead lap here, coming 21st, with Dakota Cole, Chuck Feltz, Cliff Adams, and Jacob Lenke rounding out the top 25. Ryzen Baker, Christopher Morris Jr., and Jeremiah Holt coming 26th, 27th, and 28th. John Houchin going to be 29th and not taking the green flag tonight, although they registered Mickey Isaac going to be in 30th. So, I mean, all in all, a great race. I mean, you had a couple incidences here and there throughout the race, as expected. New car, it doesn't matter how much practice you put in. You put yourself into 30 cars, you're going to have to learn real quick how it reacts within that. But all in all, a great race tonight. Good green flag runs. We got a little bit of an exciting green-white checkered there coming to the end, and all around a good race there, brother.
Yeah, really exciting. Get to see a new car on track. We saw some drivers say it was tight. Some drivers say it drove pretty well. So we'll have to see after a few more races in this thing what it's really like.
Absolutely. A mix of emotions here for this new ARCA car for the first race with it this season. But with all of that said, we're going to sign off for the night. As you walk through the streets of life, please don't play in traffic. Good night, everybody.